homesteaders, gardeners, and cooks. My name is Jennifer. Welcome to Miles Away Farm. I am making today, it's a carrot salad, and this is from a recipe book by America's Test Kitchen called Nutritious and Delicious. And they call it a tabbouleh, in quotes, salad. So basically you're using the carrots in place of what would normally be the bulgur wheat that goes into tabbouleh. I don't know if I'd go that far in terms of, I'm not a fan of things that are trying to mimic other things that are quote unquote bad for you or good for you. I just happen to really like this salad. I like carrot salad, but I don't like the traditional version that has raisins and is kind of drowning in mayo. And so I thought, when I got this cookbook, I saw this recipe and thought it would be fun to try it. And I've now made it 3 or 4 times in the last couple of years. It's really lovely and tasty. It does call for fresh pomegranate seeds, and that's something that you really kind of need to make in the fall because that's really the only time that you can get pomegranate seeds fresh. But it adds a really lovely pop, and it's definitely one of the fall dishes that I look forward to. So what I have here is a pound of carrots, and I'm just gonna peel these carrots and cut them into bite-sized pieces. The original recipe does not call for peeling, and I have made it both ways. I actually prefer it peeled. It has, the peels of carrot have a little bit of a bitter quality to them that I don't particularly love in this recipe. I can see what they were trying to do there, but it's not my favorite. So I go ahead and peel carrots. Really the only time I don't peel carrots is when they're from my own garden. That's a source that I trust. I know how I grew it. I know that they're clean. If it's a store-bought carrot, even if they're organic, I don't know how many hands have been on it or in how many different places it's been handled. And I also don't know how old the carrots are. So I usually peel them when they're store-bought. But you do you. You can try it both ways. If you aren't going to peel them, give them a good scrub. So have a good, something like this, or a good scrub brush, and just give them a really good solid scrub before you cut them up. What we're gonna do is we're gonna dice these into like 1-inch pieces, and then we're gonna throw them in the food processor and basically just kind of blitz them in there until they are very granular, as if they were little pieces of tabbouleh. So it's kind of a ground carrot salad, but it really is quite good. All right, so we've got our carrots cleaned off. So before we cut up our carrots, we need 3/4 of a cup of toasted shelled pistachios. So I'm going to get that going while we're cutting up and getting the rest of our ingredients together. Come with me. Using a toaster oven to toast nuts is one of my favorite hacks. All right, we just need to chop these into 1-inch pieces, give or take. They're gonna get thrown in the food processor, so precision is not really all that critical here. All right, our pistachios are toasted, and I know they're toasted because I can smell them. They smell amazing. We're gonna put these in the food processor. And give them a coarse chop, 10 to 12 pulses. And there's no one right or wrong answer to this. Here's what we're looking at. So just go as long as you want. We're gonna throw those in a bowl. And then into this, we're gonna whisk 1/4 cup of olive oil, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, Good thing it didn't call for any more than that, because that's just about all we have. We also need a tablespoon of honey. Half a teaspoon of smoked paprika. Sorry, I have a cat who thinks he's gonna starve any second. And just a pinch of cayenne. Teaspoon of salt. And in this case, I'm using table salt, not. And a half a teaspoon of black pepper. We're gonna mix all that together. And I think honey has some natural emulsifying properties. I've made enough granola in my day with honey and seen how the oil kind of stays mixed once you mix it with the honey. I think there's a little bit of a natural emulsifier in there, which is very handy for something like this. Okay, now we need to chop our carrots. And we want these pretty finely ground. I would say similar in size to the pistachios, if not slightly finer. And we're just gonna add that to our bowl. Aren't those pretty? And I don't know if you guys have ever seen those videos that go viral every once in a while on pomegranates and how to easily clean a pomegranate. And honestly, I'm not convinced any of them are 100%, but this is how I do it. I love pomegranates. I grew up in Northern California, and my dad had a pomegranate tree on the property that I grew up on. And I just absolutely fell in love with them. So I love them to this day. So what you want to do, I take the top off and then see how you've got these lines here. They're kind of like segments on an orange. They do not go nice and neatly all the way down to the bottom. So it's not as neat and tidy as an orange. But if you cut where those segments are, it will pretty easily allow you to break this open. And that's what I tend to do. Like so. You can see, you know, that line did not go. It's a segment here, there's a segment here. So it's not as simple as some of those videos would have you believe. But if you get into it in a basic way, they pop out pretty easily. And I don't find that they stain particularly much. So just get in here, clean them out. So I tried one time years and years ago to make my own grenadine because I had my husband's grandparents happened to live on a golf course in Mesa, Arizona, and the golf course had pomegranate trees on it. And so when they came to visit me one year, they brought me like 15 pomegranates, which is a lot of pomegranates. And so I decided I would try to make my own grenadine, which I did. And then I proceeded to do nothing with it because the only thing I knew to do with it was Shirley Temple's. And yeah, I don't drink soda, not since I was in my 20s. And so it was kind of a bust. However, if I had known what I know now, I would have made pomegranate molasses instead, which is when you just keep cooking it down further until it's really thick. And that's what I should have done because we do have a lot of fun uses for this. It's just a very nice way to add a sweetener to something that's got a little bit of an interesting tang and flavor to it. And I am going to add a little bit of pomegranate molasses to this salad. It doesn't originally call for it, but I thought it was a missed opportunity. It's kind of a tough ingredient to find sometimes. You need to find a really well-stocked grocery store. And it took me a long time. It started getting really trendy in the food world. And I started seeing it pop up in recipes and things 4 or 5 years ago. And it took me a really long time to actually locate any of it. I've now seen it. I think I've seen it locally in my grocery stores. This bottle I've had for quite a while. Actually, I got that at Cost Plus World Market. So that is a good place for those obscure ingredients sometimes. But if you have an Asian grocery, they will probably have it. And if you've got a well-stocked grocery store, they will likely have it. I'm in a town that is small enough that we do not have a Whole Foods. We do not have a Trader Joe's. We just have kind of standard run-of-the-mill grocery stores. And they can be pretty well stocked. We're also a wine town, and so they're surprisingly well stocked. But sometimes obscure ingredients like that can be a little harder to find. And you can see I'm making pretty quick work of this. It's just a question of flipping them out. And you can see my fingers are pretty clean. There's a little bit of juice on them, but it's not bad. And this is a really nice pomegranate. Sometimes you'll find that they've been dropped, and so one side will be bruised, and the little, I forget what they call the individual seeds, just aren't as nice, and you have to toss some of them because they're kind of sad. But this one is in really good shape. I've gotten pretty good at picking them. I can usually tell at the grocery store, for the most part, which ones are good. But that's just because I've eaten so many of them over the years. Let's see how we did here. And this white part on these seeds can be quite bitter, and so you do want to try to get all of that out of there as much as you can. I'm not going to sweat every single little itty tiny piece, but I think we did pretty good. I think that's going to be about a cup. Yeah, so about one pomegranate, normal sized. Enough that I don't want to break open the other one. I think we're good. Okay. And this calls for a whole bunch of minced mint leaves, which is really typical of tabbouleh to have some kind of a green in there. I do not love mint unless it's in a tea. I'm really not a mint girl. And so I am going to use flat leaf parsley instead. This is some flat leaf parsley that's been in my fridge for, at least a week from the garden. But it's not in too bad a shape. And we're definitely too far gone for anything out in the garden now, so we're just gonna make the best of this. So I'm just gonna chop this parsley and use that in place of the mint. And I could have probably just thrown this in with the carrot if I had gotten to it. So if you're making this, pull it off the stems and just throw it in with the carrot. It's probably much easier than what I'm doing here now. And there's a tiny bit of yellowing on this, but it's probably from just being in the fridge a little longer than it should have been. There's nothing wrong with this, it's fine. And it's a really great way to use up this parsley that needs to be used. So the best way to mince this kind of thing is to do what you can to roll it into a tight ball. And it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be much easier to cut through when it's bunched than it is when it's all spread out. And so I like to give it one good chop, bunch together, and then just run my knife through it a couple of times. If you've ever wondered about cutting boards, this is a wood cutting board, and you can see, there's scratches in it. This is actually why you want something that has a little bit of give to it, because these leaves are so thin that I would not be able to chop them easily if I was using a cutting board that was hard. I have a girlfriend who she's been through a divorce and is just really kind of relearning how to cook. She did some cooking in her 20s and then stopped cooking for a long time because her husband did all the cooking. And now that she's divorced, she's relearning. And I was cooking at her house, and she had a cutting board that was ceramic. And I just took one look at it and was like, nope, absolutely not. There's no way you're going to actually be able to cut anything on that because the surface is so hard that your blade just slides right off of it. So yeah, plastic cutting board is fine. Wood cutting board is fine, but you need something that your knife is actually going to catch on the board itself. All right. So yeah, no ceramic cutting boards. No matter how cute they are. Hers was shaped like a bear. It was very cute, but definitely not meant for actual cooking. Okay, so we've got our parsley. We've got our lovely pomegranate seeds. We're just gonna give this a toss. And this would be a really great recipe to have at Christmas as just an extra side if you were doing or it'd be great for a holiday potluck. It's just very festive with that red and green in there. It's healthy. It's a great way to use healthy carrots this time of year. And it's very different from your traditional carrot salad with raisins. Ugh, God, yuck, no. Yeah, so this is a super fun holiday salad. Quick taste. And I really love the contrast of the carrots and the pop of the pistachios. Oh, that's so good. And that smoked paprika, you get that little smoky note. It's so good, you guys. I'm gonna do just a really small drizzle. What I should have done is use this instead of honey. And so if you can find it, I would say use the pomegranate molasses instead of honey in the recipe. I should have thought of that, but I'm just gonna put a little drizzle in there just to add to it. This is a little bit salty. It's gonna be better once it sits for a bit, obviously. But yeah, seriously yummy salad. And you could easily double this recipe if you were doing a potluck or something too. And if you love mint, use mint. Just not my favorite thing. So I just stick with the parsley. Oh, yeah, that's really good. That little bit of added sweetness. Excellent. So there you go, guys. Really fun carrot salad with pistachios and pomegranate seeds. Highly recommend it. Make it for a holiday gathering or just make it for lunch. Thanks for watching, Tribe. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe and throw me a comment if you're interested.